Hello and welcome to the Fighting Spirit Podcast. As always, I'm Jason and I'm here to bring you your retrospective on UFC Fight Night, where Valentina Shevchenko defended her women's 125-pound strawweight title and picked up a W against a relatively sleepy fight against Liz Carmouche. We had also a pretty decent night. Let's get into it though. Here's the show. So as I said, we did have a pretty decent night. We ended up going 7-6 on the evening. It did take a little while for things to get rolling, but we did ultimately pick things up once we get into the main card. So let's talk about it. Valentina Shevchenko, great performance tonight. I wish Liz Carmouche had engaged with her, though. I wish she had bothered to try to fight her. Basically, Valentina scores a couple of knockdowns. She gets a nice spinning back fist, clips her with a nice left, puts her down on the mat. We end up with kind of a grinding affair on the ground for a little while. And not really much to speak about. Liz Carmouche seemed like she was afraid to lose. She was afraid to engage with Valentina, and we ended up with a really boring main event. Is what it is, though. We ended up picking this one correctly. I still love Valentina. I just think it's going to take some real competition for us to get the best out of her. This may have all been because of what Liz Carmouche saw, happen with Shevchenko's last outing, that devastating knockout. Maybe she just didn't want to have the same outcome come to her. But hey, it is what it is. We got it right, so I'm happy about that. Moving on to the next one. So this is a W for us, but it was a robbery. Vicente Luque defeats Mike Perry, even though Perry outstruck him. I thought did really good damage. Granted, Luque did break Mike Perry's nose. He made him look like the Elephant Man, like the guy from the Mask movie. I mean, this dude's face was busted up. It's going to take him a little while to get back to platinum, and he's going to need a little bit of reconstructive surgery. We didn't end up getting this one wrong. I was happy to see Luque win ultimately because of the pick, but Perry really deserved a win here, and it was a downright robbery. There were a lot of bad judge calls, I thought. We'll get to a few others, but the judges were not helping us out tonight. They did in this case, I guess. I can't be too upset, but ultimately these judges decide the paycheck for these guys. Half of their money is set on a win-loss basis, and Mike Perry lost out on half of his payday, whatever it was going to be. I imagine he'll get some fight of the night money and make up for it, and I get it, but he did not get everything that he was owed tonight for putting it all on the line, and I think outperforming Vicente Luque ultimately. So hey, is what it is. We'll talk about some other bad calls coming up, but it just sucks when things go this way. And I got a little comment to make about international cards, and I'm just going to make it here right now. I will always do a podcast about international fight cards. I don't want to mince words about that. I don't want anybody to think that I'm not going to do this anymore because maybe I felt like I had kind of a rough outing. I am no longer going to be personally placing money on international fight cards. I will still provide betting tips. I will still provide a podcast, but I was just frustrated with the calls tonight. I've been frustrated in the past with all these international fight, cards, especially when they're fight nights. In the pay-per-views, I think things are a little bit better. But I'm not personally betting on these international fight cards anymore. We still did really well with our picks, 7-6, and we still came out on top, but take it with a grain of salt. It might not be worth it for you, especially when it goes to the judges. That is really where things get, all screwed up. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, though. Eduardo Garagorri defeats Humberto Bandenet. This actually was a good decision. I thought Garagorri, the one Uruguayan fighter on the card, had a spectacular performance. He outstruck Garagorri by 2x, 2 times. And he did not score a lot of takedowns. He got one himself. Humberto Bandenet tried to get this thing to the ground, but it was basically panic wrestling. Grigori was boxing him up something terrible, and Bandenet's 4 takedowns, which Grigori got back, up right away. So they weren't effective at all. Ultimately, though, hometown edge as well. Grigori ends up picking up the W, as do we. Moving on to the next one, Volkan Ozdemir. I was happy to see him get back to his winning ways. That Swiss man, he made Swiss cheese out of Ilir Latifi, or Emmental if you happen to be from the European continent or outside of the U.S. He punched holes in him for real. Latifi looked, I wouldn't say bad, but I mean, at 5'8" and his short arms, it made just kind of a punching bag for Ozdemir to take out his frustrations on about losing in his past affairs. But he got back to his winning ways, like I said. He put on a spectacular performance and knocked out Ozdemir something bad on the cage, put him down, lights were out, and he got that win at the end of the second round. Moving on to our next contest, we had Rodolfo Vieira pick up a win against Oscar Piechota. This was a tight one, though. Rodolfo did not look like he was in tune for MMA up until the very end. I thought he was getting boxed up a little bit by Oscar, and it looked like he was hurt. He had a big hematoma underneath his eye. He was getting his face boxed up, but he did manage to get this thing to the ground, and he was able to work his BJJ game. This guy is a BJJ world champion. He did not give me the BJJ blue balls, as it were. He got it done. Arm triangle, second round, shut the door, and he proved why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is one of the most effective martial arts that is in MMA today. I mean, we have the Gracies starting it, and guys like Rodolfo, guys like Maia, they still champion it, and it's still a really effective way to enter mixed martial arts of the UFC. So he proved it again tonight, and I look forward to making those calls more. So, hey, another one we got right? Moving on to the next one, Enrique Barzola defeats Bobby Moffett. I did not like this decision. Moffett outstrikes Barzola 90-83. Granted, Barzola did get takedowns, but I didn't think they were the most effective things in the world. Yes, maybe from a points perspective, they were better, but I thought Moffett did good damage, and I thought that he could have picked up the W here, and ultimately did not go our way. So we ended up picking up an L on this one, and what I ultimately thought was a bad call. But hey, maybe we were gifted one with Luque, and we were denied one here with Moffett. Is what it is. I still think we should have won. Next one, though, Gilbert Burns defeats Alexei Kunchenko. This actually is a good call by the judges. So Kunchenko didn't get going until basically the third round. They said in Russia he's used to fighting, 5-round fights, so maybe he just thought there was going to be, more time. And he has a bigger gas tank, and his whole thing is about wearing guys down, which Gilbert Burns' cardio was crap. He only had 2 weeks' notice to make this fight, but by the end of the second round, start of the third, you could tell the tides were turning, and Kunchenko could have potentially put him away. But early on, he was scoring takedowns, shutting down those great fundamental boxing efforts of Kunchenko, and just putting him on the mat and grinding him down. Not sapping the gas tank, ultimately, though. It looks like he ended up sapping his own gas tank. It is how it played out. Kunchenko did ultimately outstrike Burns 47-42, and if this thing went deeper into later rounds, I think Kunchenko would have continued that onslaught late in the fight, but Burns just won the first 2 rounds, and Kunchenko couldn't shut the door, so Kunchenko continues to have decision outcomes in the UFC. It's just this time it did not go his way, and it did not go our way. In our next one, we had Cyril Gane defeat Rafael Peyosa, and so this one was very interesting. I was totally blown away by it. So the Frenchman did have excellent boxing. I thought Peyosa was fighting a good game, though, looking for that big, heavy right-hand counter to potentially knock out Gane, and just did not come up. Ended up getting put on the ground, and Gane ended up picking up an arm triangle late into the first round in a kind of surprising fashion. So Cyril definitely had been working on his ground game a little bit. He snatched it up, and that was something I had underestimated a bit. But that's the thing with these debuting fighters. It's very hard. Could Peyosa potentially win? Yeah, absolutely. But Cyril ended up picking up the W here with some unknown information that his ground game is a little bit better than I thought. So, hey, we picked up an L, and it is what it is. A good W, though, an underdog W we picked up next was Mariana Rodriguez defeats Tecia Torres. She outstrikes her like mad. She makes Tecia look like the 5'1" small fighter that she is. She had no range. She had a hard time in the pocket. She wasn't able to execute any takedowns. She did try to get takedowns, but I feel like it was just a story of a takedown specialist or grappling fighter. They can't score him. You end up getting boxed on the feet, and she was outstruck 2-1. Ended up picking up an L here. So the Tiny Tornado finally, I think, is coming to the end of her kind of stalwart nature because women's MMA is evolving so much. But hey, we'll see how things play out in the future. We did pick up a W on this one, though. Another W, so doing all right? Rogerio Bontornin defeats Rulan Paiva. This was kind of an interesting one because we had a crazy doctor stoppage. So Paiva nearly puts Bontornin out. He has a huge, lump underneath his orbital. It's looking bad. And then he ends up, Bontornin picking him up, slamming him down after a crazy knee, right? He just nails Paiva with a great knee, and after they pop up, the ref, stops it, and Bisbing, the commentator tonight, he's like, hey, sometimes you gotta let these guys fight it out, what's going on? So clearly you can then see the guy's eyelid, Paiva's, is just folded down. It's just flapping out, it's like a 2-3 inch gash right above his eye, and at that point, everybody can tell. The doctors are coming in, they're stopping this one, there's absolutely no way around it, and there was that knee that really did it in. It could have maybe also opened up a bit when he was basically slammed on his head by Bontornin, but we got a TKO doctor stoppage here, so I was happy to pick up the W there. And when we picked up an L, and I thought this was a crap decision, Chris Gutierrez defeats Geraldo Freitas. So Gutierrez did outstrike him, but the ground game of Freitas was there. He held him down. I thought he did enough, and basically, we had Humberto Bandone score great takedowns, not do anything, and not pick up a victory. And then we had basically Gutierrez, get taken down a couple of times. I don't know. I'm just frustrated with the way this split decision played out. Geraldo, I thought, did fight well. I thought he was pretty good on the feet. I thought it was a close contest. I thought the takedowns and the passes on the ground where he looked so dominant were enough to get the win here. Just turns out I was wrong, and we ended up picking up an L. Then we have a couple more L's to go over, so we didn't start the night out too well. It took a little while to get rolling. We do have Alex De Silva defeat Kazula Vargas. Vargas looked like he had very powerful hands, but those 3 takedowns of De Silva kept him flat on the mat, and he was not able to utilize that power one bit, and ends up picking up an L here for us. And then our last one, I wasn't able to see it. Veronica Macedo defeats Pollyanna Viana very early on with a arm bar. She submits her 1 minute and 9 seconds in. And, I think just bad luck for Viana. I think if this thing had stayed on the feet a little bit longer, maybe, although she did initiate the takedown, Viana just didn't play it out. This is the bad luck of MMA sometimes. I don't blame judges or anybody for this one. This is just the craziness that is MMA and makes it so unpredictable. So this is actually why it's so much fun in the first place. But, 7-6 on the night. Some really good streaks, some bad streaks. We were okay tonight. I thought we could have done a little bit better. But these international fight cards, they are frustrating. And, I'm not too happy with them. Maybe this is just my initial reaction to it. But I really don't think we get the fairest shakes for the fighters. My wins and losses don't ultimately really matter. I want to make a little money betting. I want to help you guys out betting yourselves or, provide that entertainment. But these guys get real hard cash for wins and losses, and they have to be authentic. They have to be accurate. I do not like taking the food or the bread out of somebody, away from somebody and their family. It's just not good. It's not good when the judges do it, and that's just my rant on it. I'm going to call it here. We just got to have better judges and better decisions. All right, let's get on to housekeeping, though. You can get in touch with the Fighting Spirit Podcast at fightingspiritpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at MMA Fight Pick 01. We're also on YouTube at the Fighting Spirit Podcast. Please like and subscribe there. And finally, we have a Patreon where you can decide on the beer reviews. We just had a Troganator review released. We'll have another one in 2 Thursdays or about 2 weeks from now to close out August. If you want to be a part of those, please join the Patreon. You want to get those betting tips I mentioned a few moments ago, you can also join the Patreon there. And if you want to get your name read on the show, which we don't have any producer levels yet, but if you want to have your name or message read on the show, you can join, and I will gladly read your information. All right, so I will be back with our UFC 240, what is it? Looking like 241 in Anaheim, California, where Daniel Cormier will be taking out Stipe Miocic 2. I will have those fights crunched and for us on Tuesday. I do have a snag for watching the fights, though. I will actually not be able to see them this upcoming weekend. So I may not, I don't know what the I may do a retrospective just to talk about the picks and kind of maybe go through the stats a little bit. I won't be able to provide as much color here, like I normally do in kind of a quick shoot fashion. So, I don't really want to miss a show, but at the same time, I know I'm not going to be able to watch it. So I'll probably release something quick as a retrospective to 241. But the picks will all be the same. I have plenty of time to do that. We'll get those top quality picks out to you. If you're on the Patreon, those fight or betting tips will be out there as well on Tuesday again. So, I will be back. You will hear from me soon. And until then, happy fight picking.